I finally got around to seeing a movie this year. I had not gone at all last year. Like I think the last movie I went to was like the 30th anniversary showing of like The Princess Bride, which was great. I loved that. Uh, I love that. Just like amazing movie. So it's been a while since I've like talked about movies at all. I have a couple of at home that I've been watching, but right now, I finally got to see a movie. I was taken to see The Incredibles 2, and I got to see The Incredibles Return to the Big Screen. I did not see this movie, the original, in theaters. Like, I saw it in, like, eighth grade or something like that, like in class for some reason. So I've seen this movie before. I liked it. I don't think I ever saw it again, but I guess I was a fan. Like I liked it, like because like I was kind of excited about seeing these characters again, and seeing how they finally resolve this whole Underminer thing. Like that's why I didn't want to watch the original again because I did not want to be pissed off when the movie ended and like they didn't fight the Underminer. Like what the fuck? Like okay, so they fight the Underminer in the opening, and they don't beat him. He gets away, so he'll probably be the villain in the third game or the third movie. And I think he was the villain in like the video game adaptation back in the day. I'm not really sure on that, but I think that's the case. So no, I'm sure not. Like I remember like I remember like reviews talking about that. So anyway, so The Incredibles 2 picks up right where the original left off, where they're fighting the Underminer. Like, of course, Violet ends up fucking up, like in the worst possible way. By the way, like a really forced way. Uh, should I give my opinion on this movie? Like, okay, so Violet. So you know how the ending of the first movie, like 14 years ago, where Violet finally gets a date with this guy she likes, and he's just like, I really like you. Just like fucking bullshit. Like he comes out of nowhere and he's just like, hey, bro, hey, want to go out? And she's just like, yeah, I like movies. And it's like, so yeah, she's really smooth. She gets the date. The beginning of the first movie, like, shits all over that. Like, Violet fucks up. She gets her identity seen by this guy, and he runs off, and they tell the government agent that, like, I'm skipping ahead a lot here, but basically what happens is that they fight the Underminer. They drive him off. They stop his evil scheme, but he gets away and he destroys some buildings. And like the politicians are like angry about it. Like apparently Trump does not like supers or whatever. I think you see about like I think you see Obama like in the fucking signing scene, like when they're just getting on the boat, like you see this guy, like this official-looking guy who looks exactly like Barack Obama, like shit. Like it was just like there was a couple of times like that. I was like, is that supposed to be Obama? But like whatever. Anyway, so the politicians still do not like supers. They blame them for all this shit, and that leads to their government program being shut down, and that leads like the Pars, the Incredible family, to be homeless. They have to live in this like motel, and like shit is going down, and Violet ends up having her new boyfriend, her date, like having his mind wiped, and like that throws her into like this really deep depression that doesn't really go anywhere. Like it's hilarious, mind you, but like one of the main problems with this movie, and although I overall liked it, is that like none of the character arcs really seem to go anywhere. Like Dash and Jack Jack, like I swear in the entire movie, don't really do anything. Like Jack Jack has this really funny fight scene with a raccoon, and like they finally realize that like, ooh, he has powers, but and he like fights a little bit, but whatever. Like he doesn't have like a real character arc or anything like that. Dash is just sort of there. He like fights some things, like he fucks around with like the Incredible car. Like they steal back from this like millionaire who bought it, like this billionaire who bought it. It's just like wow, whatever. Like this movie, like Mr. Incredible does this like okay. So here's the thing about this, like there are three main plot lines to this movie. Like there are the subplots with like Mr. Incredible and his like struggles with like taking care of the family, which takes up most of the movie, I think. Well, okay. So that's funny and like it's interesting, but it doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't really like resolve anything or introduce any new things. Okay, so here's the thing about Mr. Incredible. The thing that I had issue with, the thing that I think well, this is true with Violet too, to an extent, but they introduce these problems with Mr. Incredible, and in particular, and they don't really resolve them. Like, so for example, the family is approached by these billionaires who want to advocate for supers to be great again. Like, they literally say this, like, make superheroes great again, or something like that. Something that sounded hilariously like a MAGA. So these billionaires, these guys, come to like the bars and are like, hey, we're gonna advocate for superheroes, and we're gonna have you do it for us. And what they come up with is, for some reason, they don't really establish why. Like, you're led to believe that there's like some sort of underlying reason for this, but apparently the given reason is legit. Like, they want Elastigirl to go solo. They want Helen to go solo because she's not as destructive. So that would be like good PR points. Like, when I first saw that, I thought that was going to like be some sort of like plot element. That there was like some other reason she was chosen for some reason, but no, that was the actual reason apparently. Like, she's less destructive than Mr. Incredible. And of course Mr. Incredible is kind of let down that he is like asked to not like do hero work right away by these advocates. So he's just like he's at home taking care of the kids while Miss Elastigirl is out like doing shit. And he starts like get really, really snippy with his wife about this. And for no real, like, the implication is that he does not like the idea of Helen upstaging him, of like doing more than him, of like doing more hero work than him. And like, it has this sort of like a stay-at-home dad kind of vibe to it, where like he doesn't want his wife to be like more successful than him, and like it doesn't really go anywhere. Like, halfway through the movie, they just sort of like drop it. They don't really address it again, and like it's like a character arc that was never properly resolved. Like, at the end, Mr. Incredible is like, "Hey, you want to go after her?" And she's just like, "What?" And he's just like, "Yeah, go do it." And I'm just like, when the fuck did he get over this problem that seemed like really forced to begin with? Like, it was like they were trying to create conflict between these characters, and they just sort of like went halfway with it. Like, they did not like properly establish how this was like going to escalate. Like, they do this stuff. They establish like how uncomfortable Mr. Incredible is with the situation, and then they don't really go with it. Like, he's just sort of over it by the end of the movie, and it's just like, for one thing, I don't think it would have been an issue to begin with. Like, so what if Elastigirl is going out first? Like, they have a good reason, stated reason, like, whatever. Elastigirl is pretty much the protagonist of this movie. I would go so far as like to say she's the only relevant character. Like, fucking the other characters, like, no one does shit. Like, there's some subplots about like Violet being upset with like her date having his mind wiped and like forgetting all about her, which is like hilarious, and like how badly she takes it. And like for the most part, like 90% of this, like, of the actual superheroing of this movie is like Elastigirl doing shit, and like, I guess it's kind of like the original. Like, Mr. Incredible did a lot of shit in the original, as I recall, like on his own on like the island before Elastigirl showed up. But like, there were scenes where like Elastigirl did stuff like on her own, where she goes in after him, and like there was that fight scene where like Violet and Dash go up against those guys, you know. And then they like meet up and like meet Syndrome or whatever. Syndrome is not in this movie, sadly. My dreams of him like magically surviving are just like dashed. Magically returning are dashed. So whatever. Violet is just like has this thing. Well, okay, so everybody in the first, it felt like everybody in the first movie had their moment, you know? Like, they all did this, like, they all did stuff. Like, it felt way more balanced. In this movie, it's like 90% of the time, like, Elastigirl doing awesome shit. Like, I really do mean, like, awesome shit. Like, I think the only time it really feels like they're fighting together is, like, at the beginning. Like, for the most part, like, when they get together near the end, like, the fighting is pretty much already over. Like, they have all those guys beaten. Like, they introduce all these other, like, lame supers. Like, they all have these really lame powers. You get the impression that, like, they're sort of like My Hero Academia dropouts. Like they're like from class 1B. No one gives a shit about these guys, but they're here. They're people with powers who are not allowed to be super. So you have this like stupid scene-looking chick who is sadly forced. Like she has like these. She has like a built-in portal gun. Like she's a living portal gun and like can do this thing. It really is a fucking portal gun where she can do this stuff. Like she's the only one who like has any real screen time. Like the others are just sort of there. They don't establish their powers that well. Helen just meets them in like a party or whatever. They come off as like super lame and not all that intimidating. And when like they came after the kids, I was just like, who gives a shit? Like really, they're not that threatening. They're like really. They all look stupid. They all have like really lame costumes. Like Helen, like for some reason, like this is another plot point that I think didn't really go anywhere. They go to another designer for Elastigirl's new outfit, and fucking Edna is pissed about it. Doesn't go anywhere. Like she just changes into like the classic outfit like everybody wants to see in the beginning of the movie. Like I don't know. Like did they really have to show like Elastigirl in her actual fucking, you know, in a new outfit? Like really, like is that something that we needed to see? Like Elastigirl wearing like slightly darker colors? Like who cares? Like I don't know, man. Like I have issues with this movie, but is it a bad sequel? Like not at all. Like I was enjoying myself. Like it wasn't. I wasn't like raging at this like I would have at like The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens or like Jurassic World or like any of the other shit I've sat through in like the past 2 years. Like there was never a time where I was like bored. In fact, I was like quite entertained by like most of the action sequences. Like there were some like iffy moments. Like I thought the villain was a reveal was a bit too obvious. I thought like I was being rused at first because it was too obvious. You know, I was just like, I bet she did it, and like. I don't fucking know. I was just like, this villain could have been more interesting. Like the motivations for it kind of make sense. Like, ooh, their father was over reliant on superheroes and like called them instead of like using the same. Like that just begs the question: why were the phones not installed in the fucking safe room to begin with? Like, why the fuck would you have like a direct line to superheroes and like not have them be in your fucking safe room? Like, go to the safe room, have them installed in the safe room, and fucking call from there. Like, why the fuck? I don't know. Like, I'm kind of with the villain on that one. That was kind of fucking stupid on their part, but I don't know. Like, I can understand why she was pissed, but like, don't take it out on like, don't blame like the heroes for this, okay? I don't know. This entire movie had me like thinking like this reminds me an awful lot. I'm about to get political here, but it reminds me an awful lot about how people like are bitching about cops for doing their jobs. Like bitching about like cops have to wear cameras. They have to do all this shit. Like if they were doing the right thing. Cops generally do the right thing, okay? Generally speaking. Like, of course there are instances where, like, people go over the line, but, like, people who believe that, like, the police are, like, misusing their authority, abusing their authority in like, the country, they're just fucking stupid. Like, people who think that, like, police actively target black people, they are naive and stupid. Like, I'm sorry, but it has that same sort of feel to it, I think, is that, like, supers are being blamed for like not doing enough for society, for not like doing everything they can, for not like for not doing more than they already do, you know, like what more can they do really in like certain situations? Like that there are times where you can't really do everything right, you know. You shouldn't be like whatever. So that's the kind of feeling I got towards this thing where like I don't know, that's the kind of overtones I got to it. Like and at the end, like super, like okay, here's the thing I noticed. Like one of the things I like had me scratching my head for a bit. Like it seems like bringing supers back is like overwhelmingly popular among the population. Like if this movie is any indication, like the only people who wanted to get rid of superheroes was the fucking government. Like why? Like, I don't think people would have like. I guess this was kind of an issue with the first movie at all, but maybe it really didn't feel like why would the population vote or like have people vote for like to abolish superheroes to begin with? Like that would have been an incredibly unpopular decision. I think it would be like the equivalent of getting rid of our police force. Like, sure, certain people, criminals, would have loved that, but everyone else, like, they wouldn't fucking appreciate that at all. Like that would have led to like a more passionate outcry of like in support of these people who like put their lives on the line to like help people and stuff like that. I don't think fucking Trump, if he like superheroes existed, I don't think Donald Trump would be like, yeah, we're banning them. Like fucking bullshit. Like that's not gonna happen. I don't fucking know. Like I'm with like the My Hero Academia line of thought that they would be like regulated and be like considered like members of law enforcement, but they wouldn't be like outright banned for any reason. That's just fucking stupid. That would be like banning weapons. Okay, that would be like banning guns or banning butter knives, like they're trying to do in the UK. Just like it's just not gonna happen. Okay, so that's just my thoughts on that. The Incredibles 2. I did not like it as much as the original. Like the original has like is so much funnier, has like better scenes, has like better character dynamics. Like the villain is better, has like a more unique plot. I think like a more unique personality. Like this this villain is just a villain upset that her daddy got axed. Like I'm sorry, that's all she is. Like very generic, very uninspired. The only time I ever felt her like to be interesting was like during her dynamics with Helen, where she's just like, when she says at the end that like we could have been friends, like you kind of believe it. They talk about like philosophy and stuff like that. Like it feels kind of forced, but at the same time, like it feels like there's a genuine connection there. And like considering, okay, so whatever, just was the villain in love with Mrs. Incredible? Was that a thing? Like okay, whatever. Like ambiguous, like. That's what The Last of Us 2 has got me thinking about. Like, is every single fucking character a lesbian? Like, that's my feelings on that. But anyway, so yeah, The Incredibles 2. I was not. I don't think this is a. I found it to be a good continuation. Like, I didn't find it to be great or mind blowing or just like, the great thing that like I was hoping for. But like. I was one of those people who were pissed about like the Underminer showing up out of nowhere and then like them not actually fighting him at the end. So for seeing that fight actually happen, like actually have a conclusion, at least that happened, and like at least this movie actually ended. Okay, it didn't end on a cliffhanger; it actually ended. So we don't need to see another movie. It ended. I'm happy with that. So if they never make another one, that's fine. What are they gonna do with the other? Like, I swear, if they open up with like Violet and her boyfriend breaking up again, I am gonna blow a gasket because this is just getting out of hand. Okay, they can't have 3 movies of this shit. Like, yeah, 14 years later, I'll be making another video bitching about them doing that again. Shit. But anyway, so that's how I feel about The Incredibles 2. Like, it was good, not great. It was okay. Like, if you like the original, you'll like this one. Like, they don't mistreat the characters or anything. Well, Mr. Incredible is kind of questionable. Like, I really don't like how he was, like, iffy about Elastigirl getting first dibs, like, going out before him. But, like, other than that, he's fine. Like, but Jack fighting his arch enemy, like the raccoon, was hilarious. Like, there are things to like about this movie. I didn't find it bad in any way. Like, there were some things I found questionable. Like, the villain was kind of lame. Like, there was this scene in the middle of it where, like, Helen is fighting, like, the screen slaver. This guy who has this power to mind control people. You have this scene where, like, there's all these flashing lights, and I was just like, is this going to give people epileptic seizures? Like, I was thinking about this. Like, I was thinking about, like, the Porygon scene from, like, the Pokemon anime, where like they have all these flashing lights and it does the same thing. And I was just like, whoa, is this going to be like another epidemic? Is this going to cause Porygon 2? Is this movie going to be banned in the future? Like, are they going to tone it down for future releases? Like, maybe we won't see that scene again. Well, whatever. Maybe it'll be toned down. Whatever. I'm exaggerating, but anyway. So that's my thoughts on The Incredibles 2. Okay, not great. It was just fine for what it was.